the track, boy.
We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
Envisioning the scenery with mountains and peaks and glacier-fed water in the creek. Sounds so sweet, sweet grass as we ride to the beat. Cruise through a valley with the clouds and the heat from the sun graces our skin so radiant. We taking it in and it's enough, enough to go around, enough for everyone, enough for us to all feel loved. And nobody is above anyone. Feel high without the drugs, grow our own damn bud, and that's in the plan. A hemp farm, grow 10-foot cannabis plants, CBD oils and butternut squash, infusing with different recipes, making our own sauce with red chilies and songs we could all sing along to. Build our own villages we all move on to, free from the pollution, contamination, with the cleanest water and air. That's the resolution. Yeah.
We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
So we feed the fire, keep it lit till ceasefire. Underneath police hide, wounded knee unleashed sky. We're pressed for peace and peace of mind. Broken leases, treaty signed, buried season now we grew. Growing slowly, counting cool as we grow to know our roots. Our history, victory. New mystery, we're stronger now, making history. Give thanks to him, getting straight through. Our high power and our dark side, we all alive, but through the night we lit. We woke now, more slow than we ate. We still here, we ain't going out like this. We still here, we ain't going out like, we ain't going out like, I'm just zoning out like this, My heart's pouring out like this, It's out of your spirit. Make sure that fire stays lit. Fire stays lit.
We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
I need this energy reciprocated, the type of synergy that can be imitated. I'm talking corn, red, blue, and orange. Your smile against the sunset, your beauty's so foreign to me. You must be from the east, so tell me what your people grew to eat. I'm talking food sovereignty and everything in between. We can lose reality, get lost in our dreams. It's just you and me. I found this feeling of freedom and I don't wanna let it go. I'm an eagle in the garden of Eden, watch me grow. This is bigger than what we believe in. I hope you know all this talking that I'm doing is not for show. This is the start of a new era, so hold my hand and tell me that you ain't scared of fighting for this land. Cause everything we do is Creator's chosen plan. Learn to live through these moments so we overstand.
I need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
JC on the track, boy.
We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Outback with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
Envisioning the scenery with mountains and peaks and glacier-fed water in the creek. Sounds so sweet, sweet grass as we ride to the beat. Cruise through a valley with the clouds and the heat from the sun graces our skin so radiant. We taking it in, and it's enough to go around, enough for everyone, enough for us to all feel loved. And nobody is above anyone. Feel high without the drugs. Grow our own damn bud, and that's in the plan. Grow 10-foot cannabis plants, CBD oils and butternut squash, infusing with different recipes, making our own sauce with red chilies and salt.
Look at the Landback website. Good evening, relatives. Peveshev, Mene Wostat Nanehev. My name's Krystal Two Bulls. I'm Oglala Lakota, Northern Cheyenne. I'm the director of the Landback campaign, and just want to welcome all of you here, to the Landback Now episode featuring our relatives to the south from Apache Stronghold. And I just want to apologize I know we're going on 15 minutes into our time, and we were just kidding. We meant to start at 3, not at 2 Mountain Time. But we're trying to hang our dream catchers a little bit higher and get better Wi-Fi and better bandwidth and service right now. But thank you all for hanging in there with us and being patient with us as we work through all the tech issues and the different things that come up, when we do these webinars and these lives and try to come together virtually, right? So, I just want to take a minute to talk about a little bit about what Landback Now is and the Landback campaign, and just really say that, this is our second Landback Now episode, and we're hoping to go and do a whole series of Landback Now episodes, all on conversations around current and ongoing struggles to protect the land and to prevent exploitation and prevent land theft from happening. And so the Landback Now show is really geared towards the current struggles that are happening and the ongoing struggles that are happening. And we really wanted to take time as the Landback campaign and amplify our relatives' voices and to really uplift those that are right there on the front lines in fighting, in trying to protect and keep all that we hold sacred and holy safe. And so that's really what the Landback Now show is about. And just a quick, overview, simple rundown of the Landback campaign here at Indian Collective is it's really 2 parts. The first part being our local campaign of really focusing on shutting down Mount Rushmore and getting all public lands in the Black Hills returned to the original caretakers of the land. And so that's our local struggle. The second part of the Landback campaign is around movement support and really acknowledging that the Landback campaign is this movement that exists within the hearts and the minds of all Indigenous peoples everywhere, and that there's no ownership in that, but there's just this need to protect and this need to continue to develop our relationship with the land. And with that movement support, just comes resources and amplification of voices and messages, and the ability to connect across struggles. And so us here up north being able to connect with our relatives down south at Oak Flat and bring our struggles together. And so that's really what we're looking at doing with movement support right now. And we do have 4 demands that we're focused on with the campaign, and that's to dismantle white supremacy in the systems that continue to uphold and perpetuate white supremacy. The second one is to defund all those mechanisms that enforce white supremacy, to include, the military industrial complex, to include the police and ICE and border patrol, and even all the way to park rangers, all of those that prevent us from having relationship with the land. And then the third one is to return lands. It's just a really simple demand, so that way we continue to maintain that relationship. The final demand is consent. And I'm sure some of this will come up in our conversation today, but really looking at moving us from an era of consultation where these big corporations go through the motions of consulting with nations, but don't ever have our consent. And so we're focused on really shifting us over to consent and not accepting consultation anymore. And so those are our 4 demands with the Landback campaign. And, I think the number one question folks always ask me about Landback is really around what does Landback mean? And you know, it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And for me, it means literal returning of land and the literal reclamation of land that was stolen. Um, you know, and for us, the Black Hills and the ability to protect sacred sites in those places where we go to pray, but also it represents the reclamation of everything that was stolen from us when we were removed from the land. And so that goes to our language, our ceremonies, that goes to our ability to hunt and to gather medicines for ourselves. And that goes to all of those pieces. And, you know, so it has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. And I just, you know, invite folks in the chat to say what land back means to you and let us know. Get engaged. You know, where are you, you know, tuning in from? Let us know whose territory, whose land you're on, or what nation you represent. So join us in the chat and let us know, what does land back mean to you? Where are you tuning in from? And just again, thank you for being patient with us and staying here. And I want to take a minute and you know, give both Naelyn and Vanessa a chance to introduce themselves quickly, and then we'll dive into the conversation. But I also want to give a heads up that, you know, we have been struggling with access, like bandwidth and Wi-Fi and internet service. So, you know, if we may come to a point where we're not able to continue the conversation, we'll pause and we will find another date to finish our conversation together. But, you know, we're going to keep rocking and rolling together. And I just want to take a minute and allow Vanessa to introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll dive into conversation after Naelyn goes as well.
Tagoteshi, Vanessa Nosie Gonteshi, Chirka Ineshi Sekoyu. So hello, my name is I'm a Chirka Apache in Rhode Island.
Awesome. Thank you, Vanessa. Naelyn, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, Doug St. Carlos. My name is Pike, and Vanessa's daughter.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for introducing yourselves. Yeah, so I just want to keep us moving along here and really appreciate Vanessa and Naelyn for coming on. You know, I know there's a lot of moving pieces happening right now, and they just wrapped up a run. They just wrapped up a preliminary injunction hearing, and so I just appreciate you both being on here. And just going to dive right in with really asking you both what, you know, a little bit of background about Oak Flat in the significance of Oak Flat and that territory that our whole conversation is really centered around. So either one, whoever wants to go first, you know, just what is the cultural and the spiritual significance of Oak Flat for you and for your peoples?
I'll go ahead and let Naelyn start it off. She's really
Okay.
dedicated her life to this, and I'm extremely proud of her. So I'll go.
Sorry if I it's kind of getting laggy, but so El Oak Flat is a holy place to the to many other different tribes, and been on an ongoing fight for over a decade to protect Oak Flat from a foreign mining company called Resolution Copper, which is a collaborative of two mining giants, Rio Tinto and BHP. And what they want to do is to block cave mining and extract the largest North America. To me, that is um, a sense like a corridor, or it's really our direct connection to our creator. A girl, mom and my father and my family have always went there to pick the acorn and to pick the tonkoje. And, it's kind of a place for not just Apache people, but for everyone to come together. And so it holds a huge significance. And it's a big part of my heart. And for the Apache people, it's one of those cornerstones, those foundations of what Apache spirituality and Apache religion is, and that to the land, because we can't take the, the sacredness from the environmental impact either, because it's the spirit. And so Oak Flat has always been a huge part of my life, and a part of my sister's life, because many ceremonies that happen there, and it's spiritual connect. And without Oak Flat and these sacred places, I can't really, I wouldn't know what it means to be Apache, and I wouldn't know the understanding of what life is, and all you has given us that life. And so when I think of Oak Flat, I think of so many things, because not only in a spiritual connection and through Apache religion, Oak Flat has given me that, but Oak has really brought me together with many different groups of people, many different religions, and to even the diversity of Native people, and how we've gone together and unify under this one fight. So it has brought in, blessings, and in all sorts of ways.
Thank you, Naelyn. Vanessa, do you want to add to that of what the significance around Oak Flat is? Okay, I think we're having a little bit of difficulties hearing you, Vanessa, right now. Um, oh man.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
we can hear you.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so when like Naelyn was saying, it's a foreign mining company that's coming in and taking. It's going to be having private land of Oak Flat, which was public land and was protected under the Tonto National U.S. Force. But when Senator John McCain slipped it into Rider 2015 National Defense Authorization Act was a must-pass bill, and was given our sacred to form my company. And with that comes along with the destruction for all people. It's a huge environmental issue, and it's a religious issue. It's became an Arizona fight. Now it's an international fight, because what happens at Oak Flat was set their presence to everybody across the world. You still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So So not only is, and that's the one thing, I'm sorry, the one thing I say is that when it comes to indigenous people, you can't separate the environment from our religious beliefs, because they're intact. So when there's a destruction of Mother Earth, it's going to affect all. And so what's happening in Oak Flat is a genocide on religion and a huge environmental issue that's going to impact everyone. As a mother, this is my identity to share with my children, and to embrace and instill in their identity who they are as Apache women. And that will be gone if Oak Flat is destroyed.
Thank you. I think that's like one of the most powerful things. I've been fortunate enough to be able to go to Oak Flat with Naelyn and with Vanessa and their father Wensler and all of the relatives to the south, and I know that Oak Flat is a really powerful place, and you feel it the moment that you're there on that earth. And I was actually able to run as well in one of the Mount Graham runs. And I think that's one of the things I appreciate most about both of you, Naelyn and Vanessa, and the way that your family works and organizes is that it's a very spiritual battle, right? And I know both of you really speak to that every time I hear you speak, and when you're in spaces, is you're talking about that. And I'm just curious, Naelyn, if you wanted to share a little bit more about that. I know you speak to the two different battles happening at the same time, but I just wanted to hear from your own words a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when we talk about, especially as the Apache Stronghold, our mission and our vision is, to protect these sacred places, Oak Flat, which is Mount Graham. Uh, and by doing that is through the prayers and through ceremony, and that's that spiritual battle. Because my grandfather talks about is the oldest evil in the world, and that's greed. And the only weapons that we can use as indigenous people, because we have the closest connection to Nago Sun, Mother Earth, and to the Creator, that we use those weapons, and that's the weapons of prayer. And as indigenous people, that's where we come from, that we were able to pass our traditions and be able to have that ability to say land back, or that ability to, protect these places. And that's through our inherent rights and those oral history that was passed down of our tradition and our way of life. And without that, without the prayers, without the ceremony, without the medicine, and without the land, we don't have any right to fight for it if we can't use that. And so that's the spiritual battle, is to utilize the tools that our ancestors has passed down to us and to implement it in our everyday life, and to use that to fight for these sacred places. And I think as the Apache Stronghold, and just being a fight and for the movement, we wouldn't have reached as far as we'd have, that we're at now with the hearing and the lawsuits, if it wasn't for the prayers from the stronghold and from any individual who wanted to pray or to put ceremony. Um, this fight would have never gone far without that. And so when we talk about a spiritual battle, it's a battle that we're not able to see. It's the battle of prayers. It's the battle of the feather and the stone and our sacred runs, where we're able to do that in the physical world and here right now. And so um, that's what it is, because we as indigenous people are only the tools by Yosin, by our creator, and we're the protector, and that those are our weapons. And so when I say, what's separate from that, on, away from that spiritual battle, is by using our rights and using um, what we can do, whether it's, using social, talking on a panel like this, or, going out and protesting and making that kind of stance, or being a part of the lawsuit and being able to testify, and our voices need to be heard, and that's how we fight. And so that's very two different things. But how can we do one or the other if we don't pray first and we don't end with prayer?
Yes, thank you,
Something
Naelyn.
we need to
I
teach
always
young
appreciate the way.
people.
Go ahead.
Sorry, um, but yeah, like we really need to pass that on to our young people, because we really think about this fight for Oak Flat and any of our sacred fights. It's what we're talking about is protecting not just Nago's son, but it's protecting the future. And that's what's so important about the Oak Flat fight, is that this block cave mine is going to cause a 2-mile estimated wide crater. And so that's total physical destruction on not just environment and that area, but on our people. And so how can we able to pass on these traditions and the culture and the language and the prayers and the songs if this mining corporate minds? Because I'm able to take my future children or my little sisters, or my cousins or anyone to Oak Flat to learn that way of life, of what it means to be in the people, and important about passing on that spiritual connection to what they're gonna pass on to their children. And that's what makes our people so resilient and so strong. We use the word resistance, and I think that when we use resistance, I always tell people that as a young person, as our babies are born here and now, they start fighting when they take their first breath, when they let the world know that I'm alive, and that's because our children weren't meant to be born. I'm not meant to be here. None of us were, because we're supposed to be extinct by these, colonial settlers who came in and made our people gone. And so when our babies are born here and now and for tomorrow, in the future, that's really an imprint on the world. And that goes to our spiritual connection. And that's what it means, to pass on this fight and have that, I guess, understanding that our children will be able to pray just as we are. That's the most important part in life, is to know that my cousins and my future children will be able to know what that means, to be able to pray, to be able to go to Oak Flat and practice those ceremonies.
Yeah, man, I just love the way that you share, Naelyn. It reminds me a lot. I can tell and see your relationship with your grandfather, and it just reminds me of my dad too. And he's always said that we're not who we say we are without our language and without our culture. And those things are very much rooted in our land, in the land, and come from the land, and our relationship to the land. And so I just really appreciate that. And you talked about, like what happens if this goes through, right? Like what are the impacts and what does that mean? And so just curious, Vanessa, if you want to share a little bit about what the potential impacts are if this goes through and this land theft happens, and what that means for future generations.
Okay, well, you guys hear me? I know Lynn was
Yes.
lagging a little bit. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Sorry, I apologize for keep asking. This is an important issue because not just what happens at OFAT, this is happening everywhere. And our story needs to be elevated. We need to be at the forefront in all these discussions because we're indigenous to this land. And so, like what Naelyn was saying, and everything that is at stake, if we lose we lose Oak Flat, I mean, we lose a part of who we are. The the blessed gift that Creator, that Yosen has given us, is going to be gone forever. And that's what they don't understand, is that direct connection, that essence, that spirit will be gone forever. And what is that going to leave my children, my future grandchildren, all those that are to be born? How are they going to tie themselves to their religion, to their identity when it's gone? There's no other place like Oak Flat. This is our corridor. This is, like I continue to say, that direct connection, that spirit. And if that is gone, a part of who we are is gone. And there's no way we can give it back. The one way I was telling Naelyn, it's like it's alive. And so we view it like as a human body. And if your arm is cut off, your arm, it can't grow back. And that's what's going to happen. So it alters us forever. And that's the thing that I worry about because, I have 4 girls. My oldest is Lynn, but I have a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old, and now I have a 4-month-old. And each one affected. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to share those teachings that have been passed down from generations to generations to my older girls. But what happens to my youngest? how is she gonna tie herself to who she is if it's gone? You know, and that's the continued fight that we have as Indigenous people is always fighting for our identity and our religion, which should be our right already. Why are we so different than the person next to us that's not native? You know, why can't we have a voice? Also, America was founded on this on the lives of this people. And I think that's the one thing with Oak Flat too, is that we've always pushed that the truth of how America was founded needs to come out, because that's going to start the healing process for all people. And so when you talk about Oak Flat and you understand that the Apache Stronghold recently has a lien on Oak Flat, and we have discussion of stolen land, you know, that didn't just happen when settlers first came. It's happening now, and Oak Flat is that prime example, because in the court hearing, they were trying to disregard the ownership and the lien that the Stronghold has on Oak Flat. And so they're still trying to take land away, even to now, to this day, and disregard us and say that we have no ownership to the land. And yet what we're doing is fighting for all people. So not only the religious aspects is at consistent harm, but so is the environment. So when we're out there and we're fighting to protect our holy land, we're also fighting for the surrounding towns, because of the way the mine is going to be. It's a block cave mine, so our aquifers are going to be contaminated, the chemicals are going to be airborne. So not only, you know, the Apache people are suffering, but so will their surrounding towns, Globe, Miami, Superior, and even as far as to the metropolitan areas of Phoenix and Tucson, because of the toxic chemicals that are going to be airborne. So it's a huge issue, and everybody's going to be affected. There is so much devastation that's going to happen. You know, we talk about climate change. Oak Flat is going to be a part of that. If resolution copper is granted to mine, it's going to be a consistent change in the earth. And what kind of world are we going to leave our future generations? You know, we want to be able to give them a world that they can live and breathe clean air and drink clean water. So much at stake with Oak Flat.
Yes, thank you, Vanessa, for laying that out. And I really resonate with the conversation, especially, you know, given the Landback campaign, but really talking about how we often think about land theft and the stealing of land like as a historical concept, like something that happened way back because of doctrine of discovery in manifest destiny and all of that, but that this is still ongoing, right? Like the attempted genocide and the colonization, it's still an ongoing thing, and that the stealing of land is still happening right underneath our noses, and it's still happening by getting inserted into certain pieces of legislation, you know, in sneaky fashion and things like that. And so I just really appreciate you for laying that out for us, and really also appreciate you talking about having a voice, right? And like part of colonial processes are to erase us and to silence us, right? And I think that that's another thing that I really appreciate about the way Apache Stronghold has organized, and the way that you have really pushed things forward to the forefront and used so many different approaches to fight this fight. And so with that, just curious if either one of you want to share a little bit more about like the current efforts in the you know, in the ongoing ways that you're organizing, right? And so you had mentioned a lien. I know that you and I had conversations before, and you talked about that this is a struggle that's been going on for 17 to 18 years. And that is a long time to be fighting. And so, you know, and I think that there's a lot of lessons to be learned there. There's a lot of wins in you know, small wins, and there's also a lot of losses too. And so I'm just curious if either one of you want to share a little bit more about, you know, what some of those wins look like, what some of those approaches were like, yeah, and the ways in which you're organizing and fighting this fight.
Okay. So first, I would really just like to say, is, you know, yeah, we're gonna be, of course, impact huge, with whatever, happens with OVAT, favor or non-favor. I just really want the people to know that that impact is happening now. It's already happening. It exists right now because um, Resolution Cops already started the process of dewatering our springs and testing our springs. So where we used to go, um, which we call Butterfly Canyon, is only Butterfly Canyon, and we would go and the girls who were their sunrise ceremony, they were able, when they got painted, they were able to go and wash off in these springs, but these springs are not safe anymore. Some for at least that in that area right there in Shawnee Canyon. So already, it's putting so much burden on our, just knowing the fact that Resolution Copper has also started its process disregarding what they say to the judge, or what they say to Tonto National Forest, that that they're gonna allow people still on oak if they were to meet. Like, we could practice our ceremonies and we could still pray. However, right now in this moment, before land transfer, or before the final EIS was signed, and we have these lawsuits, they're already putting that burden on our people and on our young girls and our young boys who have these sweats and have these sunrise ceremonies. And for us to be able to have our religion be on trial, it's already traumatizing in the sense to know that if there was a non-native girl, when she had her religion heard, cause a huge ruckus in mainstream society. But for me to have to be able to, try to make the judge understand how much this is going to impact in the future, it's really sad, because you have our defendants saying to us, are you a tribal chairman? Are you a vice chairman? Are you a tribal council person? Are you representing the tribal government? And if we say no, that is given an example to today, that okay, then what you say and what you're trying to fight is irrelevant because you don't represent it and you're still awarded from it. You're still prisoners of war. And to know, they say that this is all history, that, prisoner of war, that we live on a reservation. That's all history because we can leave the reservation. However, the laws and what we are and what we're titled as warded to the government, our prisoners of war, still stands to this day, because that's what we're trying to fight against. We're trying to fight the fact that, no matter what, that if the government or not, we still represent the Apache people. And that's what this hearing was about, that we had on February 3rd, is we have the link, which my mother talked more after I finished. And this was a hearing where not just our religion was on trial, but our claim of who we are and what it means to be an Apache. And so, what they're really trying to tell us is that you say to start the defendants. My grandfather and I, along with, are the plaintiffs, and so we have lawsuits out. And Resolution Copper, our own tribal government, the San Carlos Apache tribe, has their own lawsuit, and we have an environmental group that has their lawsuit against the United States. With the, and like you said, Krystal, it goes back to consultation. And what the attorney had said is that consultation doesn't have a definition. It doesn't have really a confirmed standing in what that means. So if they send a letter, if any come to the tribe and they did come in, the company kind of just checks that off the list and says, "Oh, we tried to consult with this tribal nation," and that, so it goes into whether we say we like it or not, because so many times we followed the process that is put in by the United States government so that it can protect these So, following the NEPA process and putting in our public comments, not agree about this, as not just a Apache person, but just as a citizen of Arizona, we do not agree with this project. And any person who was non-native who put their public comment in, it was just a checklist off the list because it's bypassing all these federal laws. And why do we have these laws that are protect us, but they can get bust? That's the point. If they're gonna these laws, it's not gonna protect not just the Apache people, but it's not gonna protect any citizen in this country, pretty much, to allow this foreign mining company come in and destroy sacred land. But so with this hearing, it had to have like a bit emotion because it for the Treaty of 1852 of Santa Fe. And that it was a treaty between the Apache people and our chief Mangus and the United States government. And part of this treaty, it designates and it puts claim that all Apache people have claim to this territory. And that territory in that is the Oak Flat area. What's so amazing about this treaty is that today in modern history we don't have treaties that are found. There's a lot of treaties that are not found, and for someone to find the treaty and for it to be brought up, it's like we talk about our old chiefs, we talk about our old ancestors who fought for us. We're doing that right here and now, and that to me is kind of it's amazing because I remember being in like second grade and reading about the Apache Wars and reading about Geronimo and Cochise and Nachi and Lozin and Mangus. And I used to think like, wow, these are like legends. They're our heroes, they fought for us. We're talking about a tree Chief Mangus sign. And Matt and I were able to and testify on that. And so it kind of came in like a full circle of not just, knowing about my Chiefs in second grade, little 8-year-old Naelyn thinking, wow, this is so long ago. And here now I'm 21 and I'm able to defend that and try to for that. And so that our message was because we talked about Apache religion and what it means and how much of a burden that's going to be when it's gone, if it was gone. And then you have the United States who's trying to defend that upper international force. What we say and we claim is irrelevant. And so having, our attorneys and our having them represent us, we just really hope that message is put out and that this lien is passed, and that claim, because we were here long before the United States was even founded, and our claim should be there. And we shouldn't have to represent a tribal government for our voice to be heard. And so I think right now would like we're on our toes because even if he was to put this in our favor, this fight is going to be long, And I tell a lot of people that once we get these sacred sites protected, because right now we're kind of in the phase of we need to save it. So once we have to protect it from not just generation, but future generations. So these fights are not over. Even if we win this fight, it's not over because we're in this constant evil, as my grandfather speaks of. It lives and it evolves through time, and we are the fighters that fight against that. And that's what that means for us right now.
Thank you, Naelyn. It's so powerful hearing you share that. I really appreciate the idea of recognizing that these are long-term fights, right? Like 17, 18 years up until this point, and then who knows how much longer, right, that these fights are. And I know, Vanessa, you had spoke to that too before about, like folks really knowing how long these fights are, right? And what everything that goes into them. But, with that, I'm just curious of, where are you currently at? Like what are the things that you're currently working on? I know that there's lawsuits. I know that there's a whole legal strategy. in these different strategies, but what are ways, what are ways that you're currently organizing and current ways for folks to plug into what you're doing, and to support Oak Flat and to support your family in that relationship to the land?
It's as a mother, I want to that she states, um, you can see, like we all said, it's a generational fight. And to have to hear my oldest daughter talk about how it's not going to end, that's such a reality for all of us. And, but it is up to us to continue to fight, and do what's right for our people. To kind of little go back on right now, one, my dad has been fighting this, his whole life. A year ago, he moved back permanently to Oak Flat. We have been occupying off and on for over the years, but my dad recently, in November of last year, and met with the United States, and pretty much he said prison of war and that he was going back to homeland. So my dad is there. We are still we still have the lawsuit. We have two going on. Then right now is the preliminary injunction, and that is to prevent anything from happening. That the land exchange cannot happen until the lawsuit and final record of decision is made by a jury. We're asking for a jury. Asking for the to decision, and once the land exchange, once we win, I want to put out there, once we win, that 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 that's what's gonna happen. From we have our allies that are virtual prayer visuals, giving us uh, much gone this far, prayers and withholding ceremony there, and people coming and laying down their prayers, because where we're at now, we give thanks to everybody that has laid down their prayers, no matter if you have been at or your layers where you're at, and showing that support. Because who would ever think that we would have found FA Treaty 52? I mean, that was amazing. And they're asking, because what's going to happen at Oak Flat will help all the others, win or lose. And so right now, the one thing that we've seen and we're asking people is that, of course, reach out to your senators, reach out to your Congress people. We're been reaching out to Governor Ducey, because resolution comment, and yeah, he doesn't care about the people of Arizona. So asking him to pull out of this, to get involved and to stop it. Telling the forum you don't have to sign the exchange. But we did have one of our allies had organized a prayer visual the day before the hearing, and that was amazing. The energy that came, explaining to me was, she said, "Mom, it felt so calm, you know, creators hearing everyone's prayers." So that's a way for it, is wherever you're at, hold a visual. We are gonna have our Oak Flat annual March run. So this year, of course, everything changes with the pandemic, and so we're at a virtual run, so we're gonna ask people to send in their video to show show that they're in support, and we're gonna collaborate and put it out there because we're gonna let people know in Arizona that people are supporting, but all over the world and all over, the country for us. Continue to stand with us, not just the indigenous people, because no one, we say Yusen created everyone. And so how can anybody live without clean water? How can anybody breathe in toxic air? And so, we're asking everybody to support all.
Thank you, Vanessa, for sharing ways to plug in. Naelyn, I'm curious, one, if you have, any more ways people can support, but also you as a young person, I when I first met you, you were still in high school and you're organizing as a high schooler and speaking. And so I'm just like curious, one, ways in general folks can plug in, but two, if there's any advice in things that you would say specifically to younger generations to get engaged or to get activated or to jump into this. But just curious if you have any advice for younger people, and then if you have any other ways for people to also support Oak Flat.
Yeah, so I think that like the Apache Stronghold, we are always spiritual based, and so like Mom said, I really, really think that how much prayers we had on what the week prior to the hearing of that day, like strictly like pray. We ran from Oak Flat on Monday, got there Tuesday to Phoenix, and that's like 80 something miles. And that all came through prayer. And so it was such a blessing to see so many pray. And so I think that, we're not asking you to do much, but if you could just say a simple prayer for Oak Flat and, that this can be a new step in the door of opportunities that Native people and Indigenous people from all over, that transition of change needs to happen. And eventually it will happen no matter what. And I just think that when we're in our right, in our spirit, is something that we really need as a whole nation of Indigenous people. And just that, and so I think that when we really spread the word through social media, and that's one way young people really start to interact is through Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And so having people post of, at least our local youth, around you or who follows you, sees that is really something good. And I think that's super important because young people today really like to communicate through social media platforms. And so that's really one way I think, if you really want to get your young people involved and do your own spiritual run, from your local area, and just the spiritual part is really something I think we really need. Um, I think, yeah, the first time I testified, I was 13 years old, and that's when I testified in front of Congress for a Senate bill number 339, and that was all through a summer. It was all through a summer program, and that summer program was from our archaeology department. Sorry. Um, so that summer program was through our archaeology department from our San Carlos, from our tribe. And what happened was Melda, she sent me an opportunity and was saying like, hey Naelyn, I really think that you should take this opportunity and write this essay, and it's an essay contest. And what that essay had consisted was like the question of what is an issue in your community that you want to be a part of, that you want to help. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, I know what I want to say. Um, I know what I want to write. And it was about Oak Flat and Mount Graham and about protecting our sacred sites and how important that is. And I did that. I didn't win the contest, and I was like a freshman, gonna be a freshman in high school, and I was like, okay, I didn't win, but at least someone got to read, what I was gonna say. And then all of a sudden, like 2 months later, I get a call from our tribal council, and they said, Naelyn, we got a hold of your essay, and we really think that, you need to say this to Congress. And that's how it all started from me talking, and it was through that essay. And so I always tell our young people, take opportunities. What you see and what you feel in your gut feeling, take it because it can take you somewhere far. And if I would have never wrote that essay, I think that I wouldn't have gone out of my shell. And young people, all of us, especially our indigenous people, we come from resilient, strong family, and we're a product of that. It's in our DNA, in our bloodstream to want to fight and to want to protect our family and to be rooted in that. And if we stay rooted in that culture and that tradition of what it means to be indigenous, just imagine how far our people can strive together. And so I really want that to be the essence of our young people is to stay rooted. Even though we leave our reservation and if we want to do something, it's okay. Stay rooted in what it means to be who you are. What does that mean? Ask yourself that. And our cultural identity is what makes us who we are. And that's what makes us have such a strong fight. And so to young people, feel that in your heart. Let it resonate within you. Let it resonate in your heart to feel your ancestors, to talk to your ancestors, to go outside because that's what they fought for. They fought for us to exist. They laid down their lives. They gave up what they could just for us to be here and now. And I always about my grandmother and those before us, and my third great grandfather, which was Chief Nosie. And to know, I come from such a strong bloodline, I walk with that head up high, with pride of what I am and who I am and where I come from. And I encourage you to go back to your sacred places, feel it. A lot of us kind of we're so into this fight, into the social media and just fighting young people. We have to fight like mainstream society that puts these boundaries and invisible shackles on and say you need to be confined to trends and to try to be popular. Don't let that, those come and go. So go back home to ancestral homelands, talk to your family, talk to your support group, and go to these places, feel those connections, and pass that on to our future children and those yet to be born because that path. We pave that path, and our adults and our elders give that fight to us, and they're doing what they can to make that path easy for us. Eventually, it's going to be laid upon our hands to put our armor, to lay down our prayers, and use those weapons, and to move forward this fight for the future and for the yet to be born. Because I want my future children to live in a better world. I want them to have the option to go to Oak Flat and to go to Mount Graham and pray and be free. Be free from this confinement. Be free from, being afraid. And our people can recognize, we're recognizing and acknowledging that. And that's because we're all beautiful, all young Native people, so beautiful and so strong. And so when I see that, and when I see them running, and when I see them going out there and letting their voice be heard, it's so much that that this fight is going to be so much stronger, that we can see it at such a young age, so that when we're adults, man, just imagine the impact we can make all together. And we just need to keep that going and know the fact that have people out there that support us. I I support what you were fight you want to pick up, because I know that fight. We all know that fight together, and that's something I just think that people need to know, is that we have support. If we don't see that, recognize it, let it be heard, and be the person to start that support group. You know, if you can't find it within your home or in your community, there's people out there. I know I'm in Arizona, but when I see the Fort Robinson run, a large impact in my life. And so I always support, you know, even though I'm in Arizona and I go to and I see the Fort Robinson run, and you know, it's out there and I see all the runners, and it's so beautiful, you know, because I support them from afar. Even though I'm not there, I support them and I pray for them. So, you know, it's that individual fight, you know, that we have to keep going. And so I love when I see our young people really make those moves, because it gives us hope. It gives me hope, and it gives our elders hope that what they were fighting for has made an impact in our lives too, you know?
Oh man. ah, um, man, Naelyn, thank you for sharing that. I seen in the chat too. It's, you know, it's emotional work, right? When we do this, and I just think it's so powerful the way that you share and the way that you talk about how, you know, how much resilience and how much beauty and strength that we have, right? And you know, there's a meme that's floating around when they talk about how historical trauma was handed down to us, or it's generational, but also, like, I love the way that you highlight the fact that resilience and strength and power and beauty is all handed down to us too. And just really, really appreciate you. And I, you know, I'm always messaging your mom when I see you speak in different spaces, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Vanessa, I know you're so proud of her, and and you know, just really appreciate you sharing all of that. And I really also want to highlight just the fact that both you and your mom spoke to the idea of just how what happens at Oak Flat impacts all of us, right? And that our fights are not separate, like they are the same fights. And you know, I've been really fortunate to have a lot of really strong mentors and work with some really amazing people. And I think at the core of that is just being reminded by them of how important our relationships are, and how important that is as we go into these fights and into these struggles to do this work that we've been called to do, right? And you know, and just thinking about the Fort Robinson run, Naelyn, as you referenced that, you know, the Fort Robinson run is basically a run of about usually about 120 youth that we take from the Northern Cheyenne, Fort Robinson, Nebraska, and we run over 400 miles over the course of 4 days. You know, with that many youth, and we run from Fort Robinson, Nebraska, back to Busby, Montana, in the middle of winter in January, and we do that because our ancestors were removed from our lands. They were forcefully removed and taken to for Oklahoma, Indian Territory, and our relatives were struggling with illness and sickness, and they didn't have that same relationship with those lands as these lands, and so they left, and they made the decision to come home or die trying. And a good majority of them didn't make it home, and a small group did, and that's how we have our lands here, is based on those that survived, those that were resilient, and those that made it, and were fortunate enough to make it back to these lands here in southeastern Montana. And you know, Naelyn got to participate on that run, and so I think that their call to action is just more of a highlight of how interconnected all of our struggles are, right? And how related we all are. And even in, like, right down to the legislation, I know that was originally submitted around Oak Flat, like there was language in there that potentially had an impact on other lands as well. So you know, I'm just really thankful to both of you, and wanted to open up, you know, that I know we've been online for a while, us in the background, but I wanted to open it up to you too, to see if you had anything, just final thoughts, you know, or just last words that you wanted to share with folks before we close out for today.
Yeah, I just, this fight has only begun. It's been 18 years of fighting, but this is kind of that final stretch, and I still think it's still such a long way to go, even though, but just keep us in prayers as we always keep our people in prayer too. I think that these fights are really the same. When it comes to protect and that claim of what we inherit that needs to know because Native people have the dust underneath the carpet, and I think that that carpet needs to just get pulled off, and we need, people to see it because it resonates in all of us. And the only way I really tell like people is, we know that Nuggle's son, Mother Earth, can protect herself. She's far before us, and she's gonna far after us. It's humanity. It's us as human beings that are gonna that are fighting for our own survival, because we are the destruction to this earth. What we do and what we put out there is harming our mother. And we're trying to protect that because we want our people to have a future. And so that's how I try to relate this fight to everyone in the world is that, Mother Earth can protect herself, she can survive after us, but it's protecting human race, us all together. Like what is going on now and today, right here, is doesn't see race, it doesn't see classes, it doesn't see, like governments, all of it. It doesn't see power, it just so this fight for our survival and for a future, it's really a human race fight. And so I hope that people see that this fight needs all of us together to make a difference and to make a stand, because it's going to happen no matter what, and it's either we be a bystander and don't stand up, or we get on with it and we come together and do what's right for our future. And that's something really critical in this moment for not just Native people, but for people all over the world. And this flat, it's really going right now. That we are in that last stretch, and it's going to be a long last stretch. And I just hope that people can see it, get known about it, and that or I also support those there, and I think that I'm really excited and hopeful. We just talent. That's what it means, is staying vigilant and just keep. We just got to pray and pray and pray and let that spiritual battle. We just got to be on that. And so, um, thank you for everyone to really listen and to be a part of this. I know that we have technical difficulty, and I thank everyone for, just staying with it and really wanting to listen. And I'm very thankful, and I'm thankful for this collective to, allow our voices to be heard. And it's really, these fights are hard. Fights have bring back a lot of struggle, and these relationships are built because it had to be built, and so building this relationship and being close to you, Krystal, it had because we were in the same fight together, and that's what's really it's kind of sad, but we have to see the blessings and the positivity in these fights, and that these relationships have been built. What we have together as Native people is really strong, and we're making that impact be known. And I really that people just get on out there and take part in this fight, because it's going to be at their back door eventually.
Thank you, Naelyn. Vanessa, I'm not sure if your audio is working, but do you have any last thoughts or anything before we close out? Oh, we may have lost Vanessa already. Oh, wait. Are you still with us? All right. I'm not sure
So
she's
she
still with
might
us,
not
but
be
I'm
with
sure.
us.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to thank both you and Naelyn and your mom, Vanessa, for coming on here. Like I said, I know you both wrapped up the run and you wrapped up the preliminary injunction hearing. And I know that you were both tired coming into this as well. And just really want to appreciate you both for taking the time with us today and sharing. And I'm so thankful for your friendship and just being connected to you both. And anything that we can do here to support you in the ongoing struggles, we're always here, regardless of what positions we're in, we're in relationship and in connection. And I'm super thankful for that. And, just want to thank you both, and then just also thank the audience as well. Thank you all for sticking with us. I know that there was a lot of technical difficulties and there was some lagging and things like that. And so I appreciate each one of you because I know that all of you watching could have been anywhere else in this moment, but you chose to be here and you chose to listen and to take in what we were sharing. And so I appreciate each one of you. And, also just want to remind folks that if you want to support and get connected in with the Apache Stronghold and to hear more about ways to support and get involved, we have all of the links are in the chat. They've been getting posted, throughout the webinar today. So make sure you follow them and you check out their website, apache-stronghold.com. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And also follow what Indian Action is doing and what Indian Collective is doing. We have the Landback campaign, but we also have the Ed Equity campaign in our Camp Mini Luzaha. We also have a climate justice campaign and a racial equity campaign. So, check out our social medias as well. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel to continue getting updates whenever we go live on the different platforms that we have. Just want to also thank all of the folks and my coworkers that held down all of the back end stuff and were patient with us as we worked out all the technical difficulties, the unseen labor that happens and goes into these. I want to acknowledge y'all as well and give shout outs. But with that, I just want to say Niaish, everyone, thank you for joining us today with our Land Back Now. And look forward to future episodes and please go check out and support Apache Stronghold. Thank you.
Yeah, Sean, thank you.
The resolution, yeah.
We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Out back with the remedies, growing with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Out back with the remedies, growing with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
So we feed the fire, keep it lit till ceasefire. On our knees, police hide. Wounded knee, unleashed scour. Press for peace and peace of mind. Book releases, treaty signed. Buried season, now we grew. Growing slowly, count cool. As we grow to know our roots. Our history, victory. New mystery, we're stronger now, making history. Give thanks to him, getting straight through him. Our high power, our dark side, we all alive. But through the night, we lit. We woke now, won't slow down, we We still here, we ain't going out like this. We ain't going out like, just zoning out like this, My heart's pouring out like this, It's out of your spirit. Make sure that fire stays lit.
We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Out back with the remedies, growing with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Out back with the remedies, growing with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories.
Yeah, I need this energy reciprocated, the type of synergy that can be imitated. I'm talking corn, red, blue, and orange. Your smile against the sunset, your beauty so foreign to me. You must be from the east, so tell me what your people grew to eat. I'm talking food sovereignty and everything in between. We can lose reality, get lost in our dreams. It's just you and me. I found this feeling of freedom and I don't wanna let it go. I'm an eagle in the garden of Eden, watch me grow. This is bigger than what we believe in. I hope you know all this talking that I'm doing is not for show, This the start of a new era, so hold my hand and tell me that you ain't scared of fighting for this land. Cause everything we do is Creator's chosen plan. Learn to live through these moments so we overstand.
I need that energy. I said we need that energy. Out back with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down through our memories. We need that energy. I said we need that energy. Out back with the remedies, grown with our own specialties and our recipes, passed down